Personal risk reduction is important. Germs are everywhere.
Hello, St. Lucia, and those of you in the diaspora and the wider world, welcome once again to the studios of the National Television Network and the Government Information Service, NTN-GIS. I am Lisa Joseph, back with you for another day of programming as we focus on the national response to COVID-19. As usual, I'm joined by my colleague, Primus Hutchinson, and this morning we're also joined by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of the Department of Education, Innovation and Gender Relations. She is Michelle Charles. We will be discussing what's happening with the education sector at this time. As you know, schools across the island have been closed, and we're now going to take a sort of review of how that decision has impacted students, teachers and parents, and some of the plans that the ministry has in place moving forward. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us very early. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Primus, and good morning to our viewers as well.
All right, let's get into the sort of measures instituted at schools once that decision was taken, or even prior to the decision being taken for the closure of all schools.
Yes, at the Ministry of Education, we had been following what was happening in the region and internationally, and we were preparing measures, what we were going to put in place should St. Lucia be impacted adversely. And in light of that, prior to the announcement that school was going to be closed, my team and I, with my Chief Education Officer, the Minister as well, and the rest of my colleagues at the Ministry, worked on the action plan for the Ministry of Education as it relates to schools. This action plan was circulated, and it covered matters that would have been of importance to our school administrators, to our teachers, ancillary staff at the school, students. There was also a component of the plan that was dedicated to parents and community as well. So that action plan would have detailed the actions that the Ministry of Education would have wanted those various stakeholders to implement should there be a closure of schools, and also in light of what was happening on the island at the time.
And those work packages, because some people are wondering about how the teachers were able to prepare that, and what are some of the guidelines they were given to do so.
We know at our schools that teachers would have been preparing for instruction for the next 2 weeks leading up to the Easter break. And so part of the action plan did, in as much as we indicated that school would have been closed for the period 2 weeks prior to the break, we did instruct that teachers come into schools to work with their principals to be able to prepare material that would have been sent out to students. So at some schools, work packages were prepared by the teachers, and parents were invited to come in to pick those up on behalf of their children, which is a very commendable effort. And also other schools, especially at the secondary level, they began more actively utilizing the various technological platforms that were available at the schools to be able to provide instruction for their students.
And so let's talk about the use of these ICT platforms. There's a lot of worry that the students may not be able to have access. So let's discuss the various platforms that you have, and let's look at some of the sort of mitigating measures that you have in place for those who may not be able to have that access.
This is a very valid concern, Lisa, but I could say at the ministry, our conversation on e-education has been going on for a while now, and it is not only coming to the fore at this point, but we have had the ICT policy being passed. We have had a number of training sessions for teachers and students to expose them to various ICT platforms. And so at our schools, though there is the concern that maybe all students may not have access, and it is quite valid, but at this point we can indicate that Google Classrooms is one of the the platforms that has been used by a number of our secondary schools and primary schools on islands. Teachers have been trained in some areas like Notesmaster and Edmodo. So these are some of the main platforms currently being used. And there's also Moodle, especially at the tertiary level as well. And you spoke about access, because students may not always have Wi-Fi or access to the internet to be able to access whatever would have been placed on those platforms for them. And I'm pleased to indicate that some of our telecoms providers, they have reached out to the Ministry of Education, especially, well, Flow and Digicel in particular. And one of the engagements with Digicel has resulted in them providing the Ministry of Education with some MiFi devices, and these are going to be provided to students who are most vulnerable to ensure that they are able to access whatever instruction is being placed on our various ICT platforms.
Oh, wonderful. That's
and this is, well, this is just one of the engagements. But when you speak about access, we're also collaborating with a number of other partners to ensure that the information reaches the stakeholder group.
And at the tertiary institutions, moving to online instruction, I would think that, you know, at that level, it's an expectation that this would be done.
Yes, it is, and I know at the South West Community College, though you will be speaking with the principal later, I think currently about 34% of their programming is done online. So now this is already, I mean, this just pushes them towards offering more online using their various platforms.
Well, let's take a little pause from the English, and Primus going to jump in there so that we can make sure our Creole listeners are not left behind.
Merci Lisa ek bienvenue encore pour programme nous GIS NTN qui a adressé particulièrement situation COVID-19, cette situation corona, particulièrement la situation ça là aujourd'hui attention ça sur affaire éducation avec l'école avec nous ni secrétaire permanent Mademoiselle Michel Charles qui me tenait un petit collectif à commencement moi quoi à ça à l'école ça te bon un petit POS mais il dit moi il faut tout bonnement l'école là
ma for PS Richardson bi mat nay débat.
OK nous tenons chef officier d'éducation ici et puis nous qui était fait un petit causer en créole avec nous qui était généralement parler sur toutes ces différences ça ministre a mis en place pour adresser les affaires de l'école qui fait mais un point qui fait avec on va prendre nous en créole aujourd'hui encore nous kay porter yon à ce ministre même en créole à cette situation ça là maman nous tentons tout ça que j'ai fait pour adresser comme l'école fermée avec maman en kay mais là nous cette maman qui prépare ni tablette laptop et affaire comme ça et aussi prépare ni manière pour trouver Wi-Fi, même si on est télécommunication, c'est un qui est nécessaire d'en faire comme ça. Quelle qualité d'arrangement qui est en place pour soulager la situation ça là et puis agence comme digital avec flow et qui comme ça.
Oui, c'est une bonne question Primus et concept ça c'est valide aussi pour ces maman là qui la caille et qui pani c'est computer, téléphone, et device comme ça. En ministre là, c'est un bon bagay. Tak semaine qui passée, nous avons commencé ça nous créé e-books programme nous les nous te bay tak maman c'est l'école là device ça so yo ça fait travail. So en une manière ça a aider situation aussi. Mais comme je just dit Lisa, Digicel te vient à bord avec nous et nous ministre là un petit device qui nous a servi pour by mon access ça qui n'est pour aller à sur Wi-Fi. Nous ca still catch les qui manière nous ca point K ça qui pas ni pièce device so nous ca still parler about ça ministre là actuellement. On peut aussi parce que nous avons un shy hotspot et access points en ces communes. So ça qui pas ni internet et Wi-Fi la caillou, peut-être ça servi access points là et hotspots là par GINet et avec l'autre service providers en communion.
OK. Bon, est-ce que ça va continuer parce que nous savons tout de suite maman était là sous vacances. Programme ça là, est-ce que continuer durant le temps qui généralement maman était là sous vacances ça. Est-ce que parce que ce moment il y a après cette situation comme nous pas assurer qui quand des moments ça là qui rester à Kai. Est-ce que le programme là va continuer après ça?
C'est attention nous pour le programme là continuer après ça. Parce que un ministre là, rôle travail nous, t'es qu'à commencer focus à sur by mamay accès et instruction à sur ces plateformes télécommunication ça là. So nous qu'à essayer that programme ça qu'à continuer après ça qu'a fait après ça.
Okay, all right. Lisa?
Okay. Let's talk about the response to the local, regional, and international assessments, because that's one of the aspects that people are concerned about. The children need to get the exams done. What is in place in that regard?
I know that many persons, not only parents, but students themselves are very concerned as to what's going to happen to them in relation to the minimum standards exam, common entrance exam, students who would have been preparing to write the CCSLC, CSEC subjects, CAPE, and even students who would have been set to write international exams as well. I can say at my ministry the discussion is ongoing as it relates to our local exams, and we should shortly be in a position to make a pronouncement as to what happens with the minimum standard exams. We know that this is an exam that is done locally in an effort to determine where our students are at. So it is one that can be moved, and it does not necessarily have to be done at this time of the year. Common entrance is another discussion which is ongoing. As it relates to the CCSLC, the CSEC exams and CAPE, the Caribbean Examinations Council has had discussion and engagement with the various ministries of education throughout the region. They have put forward a number of recommendations. However, these have to be discussed at the government levels, and as soon as a decision is made from various regional governments and the CXC, then a pronouncement will be made to the public.
We have any cancelled examinations? No?
Internationally, at least 2 universities have cancelled their international exams.
Okay. Somebody on our platform, Facebook, thank you so much for your questions. You can keep them coming in. One wants to know regarding the primary schools, what in particular is happening with them. And I suppose it's not very detailed, but thank you, Matthias, for that. Perhaps he wants to know about the teaching material that the students were given to go home with, because I think we're probably concentrating a lot on the secondary schools and not enough on the primary schools?
No, actually no. I must commend the teachers, especially at the primary level, those who have made the extra effort. By the time Monday had rolled around and into Tuesday, most primary schools on island had been able to prepare various packages for their students, and that would have covered work that would have been done throughout that term up until the end of the term. Also, we know that a number of schools and teachers have WhatsApp groups for their parents, and information is also being provided through that means. I know at the secondary level as well, students and teachers are utilizing the student email addresses, and information is being pushed to the students through that method.
Right. And your communication plan?
Well, we do have one, and we are pretty much using our communications unit at the Ministry of Education. I have a very competent team, and they have been putting the information out as it becomes available. So we have information on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel. We have, of course, this engagement with NTN, where we are able to put out the ministry's information in a timely manner. And part of all of this also, we are quite thankful that at this point we have those various access points within our various communities, so persons can access information via the internet as well. Our engagement with our partners such as Digicel would also allow our students to access the Learning Hub, the Playgo app, and I this morning had a conversation with the country manager from Digicel who indicated that her Microsoft team can work with us to develop these virtual classrooms. So we're still in the process of discussing various initiatives for our students, and these will be in rolled out, and persons will be informed as we go ahead.
What are your parting words for parents and the students? Because it is very uncertain. The times are very uncertain. And for many, education is paramount. It's something that we say that is how you secure your future. How can you reassure the public that the Ministry or the Department of Education is on top of things and would not allow the education of the nation's students to sort of wither?
I think, Lisa, at the ministry we can speak with a certain amount of authority when we speak to wanting the best for our students and ensuring the continuity of their instruction and learning. I'm glad that at the ministry we had started that conversation as it relates to ICT in education, and we had promoted a number of initiatives which would have given students and teachers access and training, to various endeavors in that regard. For parents who are concerned, I just want them to know that the ministry is continuing to work assiduously towards ensuring that our students receive the necessary instruction, that this is not a break, it's not a holiday. We are looking to co-opt some teachers. We want them to volunteer to be able to record some sessions for students, and we are going to be doing that in collaboration with NTN and Digicel. And there has been another television station who has approached us about putting out information. So we are working to ensure that our students do get the necessary information to allow them to continue functioning and not miss out in any way. So at the point when assessment comes around, we are able to ensure that our students are successful.
Now today it's a special one because you do have a handover to do with the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. Why don't you tell us about that?
As I indicated earlier, Lisa, in our partnership with Digicel, they had provided the Ministry of Education with some MiFi devices. Our conversation with the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College indicated that there were some vulnerable students who would have required access. These students may have had a device, say a telephone, but did not have internet or Wi-Fi access. And the Ministry of Education took the position to assist the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College in that regard and provided them with 25 of those MiFi devices. So we're very grateful to Digicel for that intervention, and we could see how it's going to assist our most vulnerable students. And so I do have what this little device looks like. So students are able to access the information. We know that Sir Arthur Lewis Community College is going online with their programming, and this really is to allow our students to successfully navigate the online platforms.
All right, wonderful. We've been speaking there with the Permanent Secretary in the Department of Education, Innovation and Gender Relations. She's Michelle Charles. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the principal for the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, Dr. Keith Nurse, with us on set. Stay with us.
It's power bike time!
Hey, you need to cover your mouth. Don't you know about the coronavirus?
It's not a joke, it's a serious thing.
True that. What's coronavirus anyway?
The coronavirus is a group of viruses that causes the common cold. In more severe cases, it's like the flu.
Really? So are you saying that this is not a new virus?
No, it isn't new. It's a new strain. That's why some people say novel coronavirus. Yes, look at it like a family who just had a new baby.
I get it now. So how is it spread?
Through the air, like coughing and sneezing, touching objects, surfaces with the virus on it, touching your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, before washing your hands with running water and soap.
Sounds like someone has the flu or the cold. Are the symptoms the same?
The symptoms are fever, coughing, sneezing, headaches, just like the flu. In some severe cases, you also have breathing difficulties and chest pains. Some persons also get pneumonia and kidney failure, and as you have heard the news, some people have died.
Wow. So how do I protect myself?
We have always been told to wash our hands with running water and soap. In the event there is no running water and soap, you use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer of at least 70% alcohol. Try your best to avoid touching your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. And in the event you need to sneeze and cough into a tissue, you throw the tissue into a bin. If you do not have tissue and you need to sneeze or cough, you do it into your elbow.
Yes, I heard that. So what medications can we take?
Well, as the virus is new, there is no medication or vaccine that you could really take to prevent it. What we really have to do is to practice infection control measures to protect ourselves.
Hey, people. I need to get a sweat. Let's get moving.
Let's do it, guys.
So, wait, how do I get more information?
Good, I have that number on lock, pal. For further information, contact the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349, 468-5347, or 468-5342.
Let's defy limits!
Woohoo! Come on!
And welcome back to our coverage, National Response to COVID-19. Before we took the break, we were speaking there of the Permanent Secretary in the Department of Education, Innovation and Gender Relations, Michelle Charles. She did tell us about the MiFi device and that the South Louis Community College will be receiving 25 of those devices. And now we take the symbolic handover from the Permanent Secretary to the Principal of the South Louis Community College.
First. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Yes, thanks to this as well. Yeah.
Personal risk reduction is important. Germs are everywhere, and you can reduce your risk of infection by practicing some basic infection control measures. Taking the stairs, avoid touching the railing. If taking the elevator, ensure you use hand sanitizer immediately after exiting the elevator. Hand sanitizers with 60% or more alcohol are great to use, so have some readily available on your desk for quick use. Have your own personal bottle to carry with you when away from running water and soap. Germs can spread easily and be anywhere. Be sure to wipe down or disinfect desks, telephones, and keyboards. Washing your hands often will reduce the spread of germs, but you must wash them as recommended. Masks and gloves serve a purpose and provide protection when used in the recommended settings and when used correctly. They are not practical for the office or business place and can lead to the further spread of germs when used badly. Use only if you are coughing and or sneezing or taking care of someone who is ill with flu-like symptoms. For more information, call the Ministry of Health and Wellness at 468-5347, 468-5349, or 468-5350.
And before the break there, we witnessed the handover from the Department of Education, Innovation and Gender Relations to the South Louis Community College, represented by the principal, Dr. Keith Nurse. So great to have you here again.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. Can I say I missed you? Last you were here, we had such great conversation.
Oh.
But to be speaking with you now in such stressful times. But over at the South Louis Community College, I know that for you, it has been a trying time in terms of COVID, ensuring that the students, the teachers are safe, and of course, the sort of preparation now that school is closed. How has the college been faring amid COVID-19?
Well, I can say that we're missing our students. The place looks quite empty.
Ghost town.
Ghost town. We do have staff on campus still working, doing the background preparatory work to service the students and the staff as well. But yeah, we're doing well under the circumstances. And in fact, we have actually rapidly geared up our e-learning platforms. It already existed. We had already been servicing a sizable share of the students and the lecturers. So what we've been required to do is just ramp up that now to almost 100%. So we're doing that very quickly. And yes, it's been an impressive response both from the staff and the students.
Let's give the public, as much as possible, a vivid understanding of when you speak about those e-platforms, learning platforms. Are the students able to interact with these classmates as well as teachers? Give us a vivid picture of how this works.
Yeah, well, there are virtual classrooms, in effect, whereby it's purely interactive in the sense that the lecturer can communicate with the students, in fact, can see all of the students who are participating, and vice versa. And so there are several platforms that facilitate that. Anyone who's familiar with Zoom, you can do Zoom conferencing, a lot of web conferencing tools out there, Google Classroom, etc., etc. So those technologies are fairly advanced and stable and accessible. So what we're in effect doing is almost mimicking the face-to-face experience, except that we're not there in the same space. But what it does allow for and require is for the lecturers and the facilitators to anticipate the needs of the students. As opposed to in a live classroom environment, you are able to respond from your feet, etc. It requires more orchestration, more planning, more uploading of content prior to the classroom. And so we call it front-loading the process. So what that does is actually give the students greater access to content, which they can then both share with their colleagues online. So it calls for a lot of collaborative interaction among the students themselves.
Some parents are worried, and I know that for the primary, secondary school level, but we believe that at the tertiary level, students will have a little more independence and able to account to their own selves. But in terms of monitoring and ensuring that the students are doing the work, how is that functioning?
Oh yeah, they're monitoring tools, of course. Yes, and assessment tools. So we can know the participation rate of the students. We know what they're downloading. We know how the content is being accessed, et cetera, et cetera. All right? So there are these built-in frameworks to assess how the students are really doing. So we know if someone is dropping off the landscape. We know if they are unable to really utilize the tools and therefore be able to respond to them. But it's also incumbent on the students to indicate if they have a need. And in fact, we have staff that are set up just to deal with that. You don't know how to utilize the particular platform, we have a response for that. In fact, most of next week, early next week, all of the training for the students is going to take place in the first few days of next week. We are finished with the staff as of today, I think, in terms of upgrading their skills. And so early next week is the students, and after that it's, full on.
Explain that when you say the training will happen for the students. They're not required to gather, but this will be done how?
It's done all online. The tools, the links, all the web material is already prepared. What we'll have is coaching sessions, video material of how to utilize the tools, what are the frequently asked questions, how to interface between your device and your Wi-Fi connectivity. All of those things are going to be elaborated on in the sessions, both for the staff and the students.
Before I let you jump into the Creole, let me ask you about the MiFi device. 25 students to receive this, and we're looking at students who otherwise do not have the access. How are they selected, though?
Well, what we've been doing, and this is, my staff has been very proactive. One of the first things we decided was how would we know how students are able to access the material in an online environment. So, Monday, we designed a survey instrument. Survey instrument was put online. We contacted all of the students. And as of 2 days ago, we had 65% of the students responding. And we did ask very specific questions about their connectivity, use of devices or access to devices. And we're quite happy to report that only a very small share of our students have problems with connectivity. And so it's only yesterday I reached out to the ministry, actually, and said, this is what we know in terms of data. So out of close to 1,200 students, only 25 had problems with connectivity. And so I indicated the number to the PS Charles, and she responded an hour later and said, looks like we will have a solution for you. And then yesterday afternoon, I received on my desk 25 of these MiFi devices. So isn't that responsiveness from our government and from our key partners like Diesel? It needs to be applauded in significant ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very encouraging. They're very heartening. Creole, Primus.
Ok, merci autant, merci madame. Nous sommes principal pour collège à Felus. Au monde, avec le docteur Nus, au moment où je me paie aussi, je dis pas ça, je parle avec docteur Nus, mais Lisa, on me confiance là, qui docteur Nus m'a papier créole. Docteur Nus, bienvenue à ce programme. Dis-nous, quelle qualité de préparation qui ça a fallu en situation qu'on a adressé COVID-19, quelle préparation qui est en place pour aider ces étudiants qui sont à présent?
Okay. Well, you have made a complete disadvantage with the Creole. But, what I would say is this. We do live in unprecedented times. And what we don't know is how long this period of crisis is going to persist. But what it does do, it allows us to ramp up the e-learning experience and facilitate a new modality, a new business model for operating. This was going to come anyway. What we've been able to do now in this context is fast track that process. And so getting the staff, some of whom were resistant to these ideas, are now fully on board because they view this as a critical means by which they can service the students and service our key stakeholder. And the students as well. I think they're very familiar with the technologies, and this is like second nature for them.
You make a little bit reference to the, is it called MiFi?
Yeah.
I don't know how technically savvy you are, but perhaps you can enlighten us as to what is it, how does it operate? How are the students able to utilize it?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest techie myself, but my understanding is that the device comes with a card, with a SIM card with a number. And in effect, it allows them to get access to 3G or 4G services. So it's really, of course, wireless technology, and they are able to draw on the communication networks. So in that sense, the students will be able to connect their device, whether it's a phone, tablet, laptop, and pick up the signal, and consequently download content that we are putting online or access websites and do surfing as they normally do. So, the issue is what is the capacity? My technology manager for e-learning was asking that, and and we'll get further details from the DCL, because that's a critical issue that we need to be able to discuss with the students. What is the download speeds? Is it determined by where you are in the country? Because I presume you have to know what the proximity is of the various cell phone towers and those kinds of factors. So we have a sense of where the students are located. In fact, we know who the students are, where they're living, etc. And we'll be able to figure out a plan for how they will be able to access.
How soon will they be able to utilize the Wi-Fi, the MiFi devices?
I am pretty sure they're going to be distributed quickly, because the students, maybe over this weekend, the students are doing their training, the additional training next week. And thereafter, it's full speed ahead. So I suspect over the weekend, we'll be distributing the devices.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
And e-learning, it's now beginning to, with COVID, it shows us that this is the future, at least to my mind. What do you think?
Well, in many respects. Pandemics do change modalities of life. This one is pretty significant. And I mean, the loss of life has been regrettable, but relative to some of the other pandemics we've had in the last century or two, we're still in early days, one can argue. But what's happening is that because we have a more globalized economy, it's having huge disruptions. And so for tourism-dependent economies like St. Lucia, it means that they are faced with a significant shortfall now in earnings. And so how does the country survive the economic downturn becomes a critical issue. And so it's an issue not only for us at the college and our students and staff, but for everyone in the country. And so we do have to devise a plan, and the Prime Minister had a meeting with the private sector, which I participated in on the weekend, and already several key elements of the economy and institutions and like business associations are gearing up to respond to this. So we do have to do a lot more of that work to figure out how we're going to survive. Food is an important factor. We import a lot of food. Maybe we need to move more towards import replacement, which the government has already started on with the 7 Crops program.
The 7 Crops program, yes.
We need to reduce our demand for imported fuels, particularly for electricity generation. So how can we ramp up our renewable strategy? Becomes a really critical element of the equation. And thirdly, health, as we all imagine, is now a priority issue. It's a major concern all over the region. The region has one of the highest rates of chronic non-communicable diseases. How do we manage that? In fact, those become some of the people who are most vulnerable to COVID-19. And so you want to ensure that we can deal with those populations and move them away from curative medicine practices towards preventative medicine and preventative health and wellness. And I can report that one of the things we are doing at the college for the next academic year is that we're expanding our health-related training from just focusing on nursing to focusing, we'll be offering our BA in public health and wellness, and we'll be doing a number of other areas looking at nutrition and human performance. And so these are new areas that we will be offering both at the associate degree and at a bachelor's degree.
All right, all sounds very promising there. Yesterday I used the word hope after we had a session with Pastor Ben. He sort of, really injected that word into the conversation. I thought that it had been lost along the way. And listening to you now speaking about moving forward, that word again has resonated with me, hope, certainly after COVID-19. We've been speaking there with the principal for the South Louis Community College. He's Dr. Keith Nurse. Stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
It's power bike time!
Oi, you need to cover your mouth. Don't you know about the coronavirus?
It's not a joke, it's a serious thing.
True that. What's coronavirus anyway?
The coronavirus is a group of viruses that causes the common cold. In more severe cases, it's like the flu.
Really? So are you saying that this is not a new virus?
No, it isn't new. It's a new strain. That's why some people say novel coronavirus. Yes, look at it like a family who just had a new baby.
I get it now. So how is it spread?
Through the air, like coughing and sneezing, touching objects, surfaces with the virus on it, touching your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, before washing your hands with running water and soap.
Sounds like someone has the flu or the cold. Are the symptoms the same?
The symptoms are fever, coughing, sneezing, headaches, just like the flu. In some severe cases, you also have breathing difficulties and chest pains. Some persons also get pneumonia and kidney failure, and as you have heard the news, some people have died.
Wow. So how do I protect myself?
We have always been told to wash our hands with running water and soap. In the event there is no running water and soap, you use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer of at least 70% alcohol. Try your best to avoid touching your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. And in the event you need to sneeze and cough into a tissue, you throw the tissue into a bin. If you do not have tissue and you need to sneeze or cough, you do it into your elbow.
Yes, I heard that. So what medications can we take?
Well, as the virus is new, there is no medication or vaccine that you could really take to prevent it. What we really have to do is to practice infection control measures to protect ourselves.
Hey, people. I need to get a sweat. Let's get moving.
Let's do it, guys.
So, wait, how do I get more information?
Good, I have that number on lock, pal. For further information, contact the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349, 468-5347, or 468-5342.
Let's defy limits!
Woo! Come on!
And thanks for staying tuned with our conversation with Dr. Keith Nurse, the principal, the South Louis Community College. Before I went to break, we're talking about the hope, and during the break, Dr. Nurse was talking about the silver lining after COVID-19 there, or within that what people call almost a sort of perfect storm. For you, what is that silver lining?
Well, the silver lining is that in any crisis, there are opportunities. And so if you only focus on the challenges, the opportunities will slide right past you. And so we can already see, for example, yesterday I was watching CNN or one of the news channels, and a company that made alcohol has shut down, and then they realized, well, wait a minute, we can make hand sanitizer. Because 60% of hand sanitizer is alcohol. So they've retrofitted their operations and they're producing hand sanitizer. So people aren't going to bars and restaurants and drinking alcohol as much. So what do? You make hand sanitizer, new opportunities. So that's just one example. But at a larger societal level, it means then that we are moving towards a more e-work environment, but also a set of mechanisms for consumption are now to be shifted. So the Uber Eats framework, where restaurants don't receive guests, they deliver to guests, to their guests and to their consumers. So that changes the model, and you have new forms of employment associated with it. But it does require, though, that you have the appropriate digital platforms to do so. Well, I'm happy to report for the next academic year, we are offering about 5 or 6 new associate degrees in digitization. So we have a digital humanities program where there will be 3 courses there dealing with digital arts, digital creativity, and so on. In our business program, there will be a course on the digital economy and business management, and a few others. And so you can see that the college, in fact, we were anticipating these things. These things have already been a key element of the way forward. And so we've been gearing up. I mean, we'll be offering courses that will deal with e-commerce, fintech, digital trade, digital taxation, intellectual property and the digital economy, and so on and so forth. So all of these things are going to be an offer in the next academic year, particularly under what we're calling our Gateways to Global Careers program. And so we are really upping the ante in response to this scenario.
And as you were speaking there, came to mind, only yesterday it was, I think, I was thinking of saying, but since we have that sort of overwhelming numbers at the supermarket now, what a time it would be for someone to be able to come up with that business idea of the delivery from the supermarket. So even drive-through, so you can call ahead, place your orders, you can prepay, and then all you have to do is just drive up and get your goods, much like what Walmart is doing in the United States. Of course, you also have the persons can call in from home, and they can pay online and simply have someone pick up for them, or you can have the supermarket itself get into a sort of arrangement with a third party and have groceries delivered to someone's home. And then you have the other side. Someone can become that private entrepreneur, and they could literally create a company, and you now simply go shop for the elderly, the shut-in, or just persons who may not have the time to do that. And that happens a lot over in the developed world. I know in France it's a big deal. My niece had a summer job, and that was her summer job. Go in and shop for persons who couldn't do so for themselves. And she made a nice little sum of money there for her to continue school. And so I'm hoping that, as you said, the new opportunities for us to be able to see coming out of this new normal that COVID-19 is going to present to us.
Mm-hmm. Well, we need to move rapidly because the thing that we don't want to happen is for the economy to go to a screeching halt, as you were putting it earlier. And really, you know, there is an app for everything. So we need to create the apps locally for the food delivery, to deliver the pharmaceutical requirements for people, for the training of people online, not just only students, but we need to train a whole new cadre of workers, whether they're in the public sector or private sector. And so new skills are going to be required in this context. And this is not just a blip on the curve. This is actually going to be a longer running crisis, but also a new framework for the way in which the global economy operates. And so it's been coming for a while. We've known about the rising number of pandemics. So whether you're talking about H1N1, SARS, MERS, swine flu, they've been coming for a number of years. This one, because of its particular characteristics, allows for easy spread and distribution, as well as economic dislocation.
I was just checking the platform there to see if we had a question from, okay, with just someone there was speaking about the, okay, probably I'll take that up later on today. There's a question there about whether St. Lucia is going to fall in line with the use of the drug from Cuba. But just by way of comment, I don't want to get too much into that. It's not my field, except to say, but just by way of knowledge, that this is being done collaboratively with the OECS, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. And they are going to collaborate with Cuba in order to see how this can happen. But of course, right here on our coverage of the national response, we'll be having much more on that for you. So you can stay tuned so that you can get the full details on that. I want to say thank you very much, Dr. Keith Nurse, for stopping by. We appreciate it. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the stories coming out of the news.
Personal risk reduction is important. Germs are everywhere, and you can reduce your risk of infection by practicing some basic infection control measures. Taking the stairs, avoid touching the railing. If taking the elevator, ensure you use hand sanitizer immediately after exiting the elevator. Hand sanitizers with 60% or more alcohol are great to use, so have some readily available on your desk for quick use. Have your own personal bottle to carry with you when away from running water and soap. Germs can spread easily and be anywhere. Be sure to wipe down or disinfect desks, telephones, and keyboards. Washing your hands often will reduce the spread of germs, but you must wash them as recommended. Masks and gloves serve a purpose and provide protection when used in the recommended settings and when used correctly. They are not practical for the office or business place and can lead to the further spread of germs when used badly. Use only if you are coughing and or sneezing or taking care of someone who is ill with flu-like symptoms. For more information, call the Ministry of Health and Wellness at 468-5347, 468-5349, or 468-5350.
Wash your hands. Wash them before
eating or handling food or caring for infants, sick or elderly people.
Wash your hands. Wash them after.
Using the toilet, touching raw meat, handling pets and livestock, playing outdoors, cleaning or handling waste and garbage.
Wash your hands. Wash them often.
You are going right when you make a habit of washing your hands several times a day.
This message brought to you courtesy the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's power bike time!
Oi, you need to cover your mouth. Don't you know about the coronavirus?
It's not a joke. It's a serious thing.
True that. What's coronavirus anyway?
The coronavirus is a group of viruses that causes the common cold. In more severe cases, it's like the flu.
Really? So are you saying that this is not a new virus?
No, it isn't new. It's a new strain. That's why some people say novel coronavirus. Yes, look at it like a family who just had a new baby.
I get it now. So how is it spread?
Through the air, like coughing and sneezing, touching objects, surfaces with the virus on it, touching your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, before washing your hands with running water and soap.
Sounds like someone has the flu or the cold. Are the symptoms the same?
The symptoms are fever, coughing, sneezing, headaches, just like the flu. In some severe cases, you also have breathing difficulties and chest pains. Some persons also get pneumonia and kidney failure, and as you have heard the news, some people have died.
Wow. So how do I protect myself?
We have always been told to wash our hands with running water and soap. In the event there is no running water and soap, you use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer of at least 70% alcohol. Try your best to avoid touching your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. And in the event you need to sneeze and cough into a tissue, you throw the tissue into a bin. If you do not have tissue and you need to sneeze or cough, you do it into your elbow.
Yes, I heard that. So what medications can we take?
Well, as the virus is new, there is no medication or vaccine that you could really take to prevent it. What we really have to do is to practice infection control measures to protect ourselves.
Hey, people. I need to get a sweat. Let's get moving.
Let's do it, guys.
So, wait, how do I get more information?
Good, I have that number on lock, pal. For further information, contact the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349, 468-5347, or 468-5342.
Let's defy limits!
Woo! Come on!
I can hear you. The Central Statistics Office has announced the postponement of the 2020 National Population and Housing Census. It was due to start May 12, 2020. The Director of Statistics, Sean Curtis Mather, made the announcement Thursday afternoon.
All right, the decision is to postpone the census for at least the next 6 months. The decision was made after extensive consultations with the relevant stakeholders and officials, and it's one that is consistent with the importance that we place on the safety and the security of our officers, as well as with the prevailing COVID-19 outbreak. It's one that we need to ensure that we adhere to all the basic guidelines that are being put out there by the respective officials, the Ministry of Health. We ensured that in making that decision that we were guided by the advice of the Chief Medical Officer. And she, in her wisdom, informed us that, that we should suspend the census for at least the next 6 months. One has to appreciate that the census is a very expansive nationwide exercise, and what it entails is that officers from the Central Statistical Office would have to visit most, if not all, households on island, and by that very fact, that presents a risk as it relates to any spread of that virus. So the Chief Medical Officer was made aware of that, and then from that point, her advice was that that we suspend the 2020 census for at least 6 months.
And no decision has been made regarding a new census day. The Central Statistics Department was at an advanced state of preparedness with its training and testing of questionnaire and the technology to be used in the 2020 census. Now, for more information on the census, you can visit the website www.stats.gov.lc. The Ministry of Equity held a psychosocial support in disaster training at the Boys Training Center, the BTC. Let's take in more in this report.
Oliver Gobert suffered a violent, tragic death here in St. Lucia 6 years ago, but the Gobert family continued to keep his memory alive through the Oliver Gobert Sports Fund, TOGS. The family, through the fund, donated a quantity of sports supplies and equipment to the boys of the Boys Training Center, BTC. The ceremony was held at the Boys Training Center on Monday, March 9th, 2020. Founder of the Oliver Gobert Sports Fund, Theo Gobert, expressed his enthusiasm and willingness to keep the legacy of his son alive by assisting individuals to venture away from the life of crime in St. Lucia.
The fact that we can use what happened to help sponsor sports in setups like this. And we're doing this all over the island as much as we can. So it's some solace, I suppose, that the memory is being used in a very good way. And it really does please us a lot that we can be associated with the training centre.
The supplies ranged from sports pants, running shoes, table tennis and lawn tennis rackets, lawn tennis balls, table tennis boards, footballs, and football boots. Manager of the Boys Training Center, Wang Sonson, extended special thanks to the Gobat family for the much-needed supplies.
It is always a pleasure and a privilege when persons think about the Boys Training Center. Persons show interest in the Boys Training Center and what we do here with our boys at the Boys Training Center. For the boys, as I have always said, we need to appreciate when persons take time out to think about us. Mr. and Mrs. Gobat went through a tragic situation where they lost their son, Oliver Gobat, to violence. And as a result of this, they want his memory to live on because he was a precious gift to them. And they want his memory to live on, and they thought about you. What better way can his memory live on but through the boys at the Boys Training Center?
The Oliver Gobat Sports Fund, TOGS, was created by the Gobat family to honor the legacy of Oliver Gobat, who was taken away from them in 2014 due to violence. He was 38 years old. Reporting from the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Local Government and Empowerment, I am Chevrolet Marius.
And we apologize there. That was a report on the foundation, the Oliver Gobat Foundation, donating there to the Boys Training Center. So we apologize for that. However, in light of St. Lucia recording 2 recent cases of COVID-19 and based on advisories from the Department of Health and Wellness, the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association, the executive and management, they've implemented immediate preventative measures to mitigate the spread of the virus to both staff and clients. The following measures have been put in place for a 2-week period, which commenced on March 17. All clinics for Eye Care St. Lucia and eye health services are suspended. Training for the Japanese touch therapy program is also suspended. All other general services offered by the Blind Welfare Association are suspended during this period. All staff, except for the vision education support teachers, are to report so that they can resume work on Monday, March 30th, 2020. Service to the general public will resume on Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. During the closure, deep cleaning of the building will be carried out, and all staff members and volunteers are asked to come in on Thursday, March 26th to assist in the cleanup. First National Bank joined several members of the private sector in supplying schools across the island with hand sanitizer to fight the spread of COVID-19. A small ceremony to mark the occasion took place at the Bay Gardens Hotel, with the Ministry of Health and Education present among other stakeholders. We hear more in this report.
Representatives from large and small corporate houses came together under the roof of Bay Gardens Hotel last week to answer an urgent call from the Ministry of Education concerning its plan to fight the potential spread of COVID-19 in schools across the island. Aside from the need for running water and soap at all schools, ministry officials requested a generous supply of 10 gallons or a donation towards the purchase of hand sanitizer. According to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belma-George, protecting our schools and our children is pivotal in curbing the spread of COVID-19.
Our children may be at school and have very mild disease and be okay, but take it home. So it is extremely important for us to reduce the transmission within the schools because and children are very loving and very huggy, and they come, and grandparents and parents and aunties. So we know children getting it very mild, they'll be okay. But the rest of the family who may have diabetes or heart disease or lung disease or kidney or liver disease, they will pose a risk to the rest of the population.
It was noted that the private sector's response was quick and very reassuring. First National Bank felt compelled to donate twice the recommended amount, offering the ministry 20 gallons worth of hand sanitizer. According to the executive manager for marketing and public relations, Robert Favrier, a pandemic shows no discrimination.
This bank was founded really on the premise of people looking after people. And this really gives us, you know, a great opportunity to really assist the young. I think it has already been said that that is our future, and of course, a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. It also gives us an opportunity to come together as one, because this disease affects each and every one of us.
According to ministry officials, the virus does not affect students and parents alone, but it will also impact work productivity and the economy.
Parents, business places, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, everybody, we need to come together to work this out. Because what we need to understand is that when we close school, not just the schools that are affected, not just the students that are affected, not just the teachers who may decide they may stay home, or the ministry will tell them it is just the students who are out, you need to come back to the school. But in business places will be affected, because the parents now who would have sent their children to school and they would go to work, now they are wondering, but what can we do? Then you have a number of persons, the children are at home, they don't know what to do, and then they may call now that they cannot report to work.
The Ministry of Education is also urging parents to stay away from fake news and listen for updates through the Ministries of Health and Education, through the Chief Education Officer, particularly when it comes to the closure of school. From the Government Information Service, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
And now we will get back to that report where we told you about the social training that the Ministry of Equity undertook recently.
The Oath of Giving organization, Togo, is a non-profit organization dedicated to bridge the gap between communities local and abroad through philanthropic tourism. In June 2019, Togo commenced a GoFundMe campaign on behalf of the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association, SLBWA, to raise funds for the purchase of an autorefractor keratometer, which is a piece of equipment capable of diagnosing cataracts at an early stage to prevent vision loss. Earlier this month, Togo's founder, Tracy Alexis Dixon, presented the funds raised from the campaign to the SLBWA.
The organization raised close to $1,600 US, and this is to support the Blind Welfare Association to purchase an autorefractor equipment.
Executive Director of the SLBWA, Anthony Avril, thanked Jacqueline Scott of Body Holiday Resorts for making the initial contact with Togo, as well as Togo's founder and her team for diligently supporting the efforts of the SLBWA through this timely presentation.
I note that the Oath of Giving is an organization that seeks to help where needs is needed, and true to form, you are giving from out of what you received. So we want to say thank you. The St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association truly appreciate the effort.
Avril noted that the piece of equipment to be purchased will support the work of the SLBWA's Eye Care St. Lucia Clinic in better assessing clients with cognitive issues.
It is a very, very useful piece of equipment which will go a long way in helping our diagnostic capacity at the Eye Care St. Lucia Clinic, which operates from Mondays through Thursdays at the moment, and we are looking to increasing clinic times and so on. So we would like to take this opportunity to ask St. Lucians to patronize this service while we do charge, but it's affordable cost, and that in this way they can also help the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association.
This presentation comes on the heels of the Dine in the Dark fundraising activity organized by Sunswept Resorts, also to raise funds for the purchase of eye care equipment for the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association.
I'll come back and then to
Glenn Simon reporting.
Okay, so that was the Oath of Giving, Togo, partnering with the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association and the Bali Holiday Resorts. They raised the funds there for the purchase of a vital piece of equipment. We now go across to Primus Hutchinson as he spoke with the Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development.
Monsieur Talissa, oui, ministre qui nous responsabilité pour l'éducation, honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, parler à sa situation l'école, l'école fermée et qualité manière ministre de l'Éducation qui a adressé à faire ça là pour maman qui en caille après ces qualités de diverses relations et aussi et puis c'est télécom là c'est compagnie télécommunication pays à compte digital flow en autre monde va pouvoir passer. Les étudiants qui en case à présent en résultat des décisions gouvernement pour fermer toute l'école ni pour comprendre que c'est pas sous vacances malgré c'est en 2 semaines qui était resté avant l'école de fermer pour vacances Pâques. Ministre de l'Éducation, Dr. Gail Rigobert, déclaré que pour plus de 30 000 étudiants à l'école, le gouvernement a été nécessaire pour changer en case à façon de protection contre la maladie COVID-19 et bien Corona. Mais l'année appelle pour les parents pour prendre contrôle responsabilité sur le ça pendant yon caille pour faire assurer yon point toute précaution pour protéger le corps et ses enfants de maladie ça là. Honorable Dr. Rigobert aussi qu'a remercié ses instructeurs et ses maîtresses et maîtresses l'école, ça c'est maître et maîtresse l'école, pour agir bien vitement à cette décision ça là, à façon que vous pour communication, manière de communication et puis les parents, mais principalement manière de présenter leçons l'école à façon médias sociaux, Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. Mais selon le ministre de l'Éducation, l'année l'autre situation qui est encore plus importante pour considérer les venir pour l'école avec COVID-19.
Mais pour nous, ministre là, ça nous a commencé à chiller. C'est si un cas problème COVID-19 ça la continuer et les pour ouvrir l'école en avril, nous pas ça ouvert l'école. Nous ni pour commencer à chiller actuellement qui l'autre bagay nous ça fait pour nous voir qui c'est maman là ça continuer faire travail. Alors, moi voulais oui merci ni Flo et Digicel parce que à ce week-end moi parler avec yo avec ministre qui ni responsabilité pour NTRC et Ectel aussi pour demander yo qui ça yo ça fait di plus pour nous ça bay maman qui ni téléphone ou be tablette ou parents yo et teacher aussi si nous ça bay yo ça nous créer data alors pour yo ça ni capacité pour engager parents et ses étudiants aussi.
Ministre de l'Éducation a dit que malgré ces compagnies de télécommunications, j'ai d'accord, l'année en situation côté, c'est pas tous les étudiants qui ont téléphone mobile et tablette. Alors, discussion a aussi embrassé responsabilité les parents qui ont téléphone mobile pour aussi trouver data pour assister ces enfants-là.
Aussi, nous avons changé nos hotspots tout au long du pays. L'année place qui ça nous avons créé GINet. Bon, nous avons engagé ces gens qui ont responsabilité pour GINet. Et pour qui si nous ça avancé by pli bandwidth pour gens au Lyon. Alors, c'est maman là pas qu'à l'occasion pour quitter Kayo aller assembler parce que c'est ça même nous pas vle point coup. Mais si les yo ka dit Wi-Fi la plus fort. Si Wi-Fi la plus fort, il ka ça oui avec Kayo et que ça reste de Kayo, on c'est commune ko nous ni GINet là et que ça fait ti homework yo.
Ministre de l'Éducation aussi, qu'a joué pour les étudiants, servi ce centre qui peut commune que yo ka rester, si possible pour faire ça. Ministre de l'Éducation a fait un appel pour Flo et Digital pour coopérer et plus encore. Et puis service yo côté pas available malgré le ministère concerné toujours pour moi pas sembler trop en Gualimau.
Mais pas de temps nous ka dit tout ça, nous savons parce que c'est un pays pauvre. Nous savons l'animama qui en kay qu'on la pas de pièce Wi-Fi, yo pas pour un ICT center, yo pas pour un GINet spot hotspot. Et c'est en ces cas ça là nous ni pour faire un effort spécial pour que yo pas rester derrière. Et déjà l'année l'école qui a dit pendant temps nous ça toujours aller en l'école là yo ka créer parents pour venir pour un papier pour bay se maman la travail yo pas de temps yo en kayo. Alors nous comprenons l'année différentes ti maman qui en différentes situations et que nous pas vle pour pièce ti maman weste de puis yo pani wifi et ben internet et ben smartphone so que nous ka créer smartphone et ben laptop et ben computer la kayo.
Ça, c'était le ministre de l'Éducation, Dr. Gail Rigobert, à cette situation l'école qui fermée à présent pour adresser maladie corona. Nous avons un lot pour le ministre à ce programme. Ça, c'est un spécial rapport le ministre qui a une responsabilité pour information, pour éducation, cette-ci. Ça, c'est honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, qui est pour faire une situation l'école, particulièrement l'école fermée, et quelques programmes qui sont en place pour adresser ça comme nous en situation maladie COVID-19. Lisa?
Thank you very much, there, Primus. Before we end this live segment, this very, very important notice, coming up at 12 noon today, we will be having an update from Prime Minister Honorable Alan Shasney, along with other private sector stakeholders that will be coming live from our studios. As you heard earlier mentioned, that there have been a number of meetings taking place, and there are some important announcements that Prime Minister Honorable Alan Shasney will be making along with the private sector representatives. That's at 12 noon. Of course, we have invited members of the local media to send questions for the Prime Minister via our platforms, and so you know how to get that done. And we will be posing those questions to the Prime Minister, keeping in mind the idea of social distancing. We did not want a sort of crowded press conference forum. And so don't forget to send in your messages ahead of time so that we can pose those questions to the Prime Minister. Also to you, the viewers, please feel free to use our Facebook platform where you can send questions as well for the Prime Minister and members of the private sector. Don't forget that's coming up at 12 noon today. I'm Lisa Joseph alongside Primus Hutchinson. We'll see you back then.
It's power bike time!
Hey, you need to cover your mouth. Don't you know about the coronavirus?
It's not a joke. It's a serious thing.
True that. What's coronavirus anyway?
The coronavirus is a